And we're live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the third week of Live with Liz. It's 3 weeks and we're still here. Today, we're talking about how much you should spend on marketing and business development. This is for law firms. So if you're joining us from another industry, hope this is helpful. Last week, we talked about the differences between marketing and business development. And now that we understand what those differences are, today we're going to talk about how much a law firm should actually spend. And the answer is that classic, it depends. That's not very helpful, I know. So let's look at some of the actual factors involved in deciding what to spend. What do you need to consider? You need to consider your marketing goals, your business development goals. You need to consider your target audience, your potential clients, the practice areas that you're trying to promote. You need to consider the competitive landscape that you're in. There are some other extra considerations right now, obviously because of COVID-19. And let's see, there are a lot of different resources out there that are telling you how much you should be spending and where you should be putting that money. There are also some other challenges outside of COVID-19 that are just pretty regular. Hey, Danny, what's up? So there are some generally understood amounts and advice that's out there that you can find from the Legal Marketing Association in the United States. Some of the publishers put out really great information like Thomson Reuters. There are some excellent studies conducted every year. PwC does one in the UK. The law survey that they conduct is valuable with lots of statistics that can help you kind of figure out where you fit in the mix. Most of the information that I use comes from the US, and I look to the Legal Marketing Association, and there's some other cool sources out there like Clio, which is actually a service provider. It's a practice management software, but they put out some really simple, easy to understand guides on budgeting and what you should include and what shouldn't be included. So what is included in that marketing budget? So there's some high level kind of divisions that you can look at. You're talking about your advertising, you're talking about your networking, if you're talking about business development, your website, and then your marketing collateral. So this is like graphic design work, business cards, that sort of thing. Those are pretty high level. And you have to think about, are you trying to grow your business? Are you trying to maintain? Are you trying to be competitive? I actually had a law firm earlier this year tell me, we don't want new clients. That makes it difficult for me to help you, and your competition wants your clients, so maybe you should reconsider that. And when it comes to the numbers, what are they? It seems to be a mystery to the firms that come to me, but there is some general guidance out there about what the numbers should be. So big law in the US, I'm talking top 200 to top 500, they're spending in the neighborhood of about 2.75% of their gross revenue. This is not on their profits. This is their gross revenue, 2.75%. But here we're talking about super big numbers in terms of the revenue and what they're actually spending. When you're looking at smaller to mid-sized firms, you have to spend a greater percent of your revenue, of your gross revenue, to accomplish your marketing goals. And what does that look like? The consensus falls somewhere between 7 and 12%. Some firms in actuality spend a bit less than that, like 5 to 7%. And really, it just depends on where you are and all of these other factors that I've already discussed. So how do you determine really what number is right for you? When you're looking at return on investment, it can help you decide whether you need to push your number up, maybe maintain, maybe you can make some cuts, and maybe you can spend the money a little more efficiently to get bigger bang for your buck. That's where someone like me comes in and says, hey, what are we doing and where are we going? So you're looking at your status quo. You're trying to figure out how many leads you get, how consistent they are, what the quality of those leads are, and how much new business you're generating month after month and year after year. You're looking for some different trends. You really want to be careful about wasteful spending, and you have to understand that there are opportunities out there if you're willing to go a little bit further. There are quite a few consultants like me out here giving you some mixed advice and selling you leads. This is not what we're talking about here. This is not a payment for a lead generation. This is actually for your firm and how you divide what that investment looks like. So let's take a look a bit more at the 2018 study that Thomson did. They actually said that law firms were spending even less than what the recommended amount was, so around 1.9% of total revenue back in 2018. In 2019, we see a huge change from this, a shift in other reporting that says law firms in large numbers are spending a lot more to be more competitive. Now that COVID-19 has hit, those investments are changing. We're talking digital marketing, SEO, which is search engine optimization. We're talking advertising in different channels and making a shift because obviously you're not spending the money on the travel, you're not spending the money on the direct business trips, you're trying to make the most of those marketing dollars and those business development dollars, or pesos or whatever currency you're spending in, that's fine too. And so you have to really understand what the goals are that you're trying to achieve and where you want to put the money. So do you want to grow? Analyze where you are today. What is your current situation? Do you have enough clients? Are your people busy? Do you want to hire more people? Do you have the capacity to take on additional work? Do you need to contract a little bit? Are you overwhelmed? Do you have a business process issue and you need to outsource? So you have to consider all of these factors when you're putting together your marketing budget and deciding where to spend this money. Right now, if you are a firm that has less than $5 million in revenue, you're a small firm, you need to expect to spend 7 to 8% of that revenue on marketing and business development just to stay competitive. I'm going to repeat that. If you are a smaller firm and you have less than $5 million in revenue, you need to be spending 7 to 8% of your total gross revenue on marketing and business development just to stay competitive. Your geographical area or your practice area may have even additional constraints that make things more competitive and compel you to spend even more. And where we caution is where that spend becomes wasteful or where you're not getting the return on the investment. Aside from just looking at the leads, how many leads, and the quality and quantity, there are some other things that you can look to for your return on investment. You can look at client retention. This is a great one to consider. How many clients have you kept year over year? Are your current clients going to your competitors? That's certainly a factor you want to consider in deciding what your marketing goals are and how much money you should be spending. If you conduct a survey and you find out what the quality of your service is, if your services are changing and you need to modify your spend to promote a new practice area, that's another factor to consider. Is your competition such that you feel the pressure to spend more because you see the visibility of your competition out there? It's another factor to really dive into when you're looking at whether or not you need to increase the amount you spend or whether you can rein it in. Now, right now with COVID-19, obviously things have this has put a lot of pressure on everyone. Every law firm out there, we're looking at AmLaw, Big Law in the US, making cuts that seemed unimaginable. We're deciding whether to let people go, and it's a really difficult time for everyone. No one wants to be in this situation. But one of the things that firms have kind of done right away is stop spending on business development and marketing. COVID-19 didn't just go away, and it doesn't seem to be disappearing anytime soon. And so this longevity of this global pandemic is having an impact on the spend that law firms are making in business development and marketing. Not just in where the money is being spent, but how much overall is being spent. And we're seeing cuts across the board in publication investments, in sponsorships, in advertising in certain ways. It is being shifted to some other channels, but overall we're seeing cuts. So how do you consider that spend apart from the other expenditures of the firm? It's difficult to do, but I urge you that that's required if you want to stay competitive and stay active through this pandemic, make it through, and then even potentially grow, because as IP firms, there are opportunities in this kind of landscape too, especially obviously in the pharmaceutical industry and in various technologies that are emerging in medical device, etc. You have opportunities that maybe you have a chance to capture new business and growing businesses by investing those marketing and business development dollars in those other areas that you could be capturing new clients in, to make up for maybe the shortfall in some of the other areas that we're seeing a contraction in. So what's the takeaway here? How much should you be spending? It depends on the size of your firm, your marketing goals, your target audience, the competitive landscape, and your return on investment. So that amount, again, that we're recommending is for smaller firms, around 7 to 8% of the total revenue. For the larger firms, it's considerably less, somewhere around 2.75% to 3%. Obviously, if your goal is to grow, or if you're facing a competitive crunch, those numbers creep up a little bit more. And if you need some assistance to go through and figure out what that looks like for you, Firm Forward can help you do that. We can provide the competitive landscape, actually draft your marketing budget for you, and go through in detail what that looks like in your specific situation. But I encourage you to do that on your own. It's something that you should do at least annually. And when something like a global pandemic happens, you probably need to be doing it even more often, this analysis to see the dynamic situation where all of a sudden your return on investment is affected tremendously by these external pressures and you had no control over it. So that is the general guidance on marketing and business development. If you have any questions, shoot an email over to solutions@firmforward.com or put a comment here on one of the channels where we're streaming. Otherwise, I hope to see you next time at Live with Liz. And before we go, actually, one announcement. This is not related to today's topic, but earlier this morning, it was reported at the World Trademark Review that Clarivate and CPA Global are merging. And I think the law firms that usually invest in solutions from these third-party service providers need to know this. It was a surprise to me, actually. I'm expecting a lot of mergers and acquisitions, of course, during the pandemic. This one is not one that I saw coming. I did see some shedding of the business department, like the law firm business department at CPA Global, which surprisingly, that team looks like they've gone over to Anaqua. But all of these different things happening right now, very interesting. Maybe take a look at those relationships that you have with those service providers. If you didn't intend to be in bed with CPA Global and you're a Clarivate customer, well, it looks like you're with CPA Global now, or in the near future you will be. So anyway, if you have any questions, again, let me know. And next week, we'll come back with a new topic on business development and marketing. If there's something specific you want us to cover, you can always send us that email or put a comment in YouTube or Facebook, which is where we're streaming now. Sorry, Instagram people, they don't allow third-party streaming, so we're still not streaming live on Instagram, but hopefully in the near future we'll add that too. And maybe one day LinkedIn will approve my request to stream. We'll see. But have a great rest of your week, and see you soon. Bye, everybody.